Arr. So this is Kal Kat, the Catster, and this is a review of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Episode 2, Star Spangled Man. Yeah, a lot of whispery talking in this. They get together, Sam and Bucky. Uh, uh, they, 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 um, they, they were introduced early on to the new Captain America, who I don't know whether he has super soldier powers or not. Like he's allegedly like a high school band thing or something, and there's like a team and everything, and it's like a sort of a. It's clearly supposed to be some kind of phony baloney, like media blitz, like fake Captain America. If he doesn't have powers, then he's gonna get killed trying to fight off the bad guys. But they seem to indicate that he has powers of some kind. Yeah, and or something. The bad guys apparently are part of this blip thing that Thanos thing that happened. You know, they saw it as a blip because 5 years disappeared and it came back. People were disappeared for 5 years and now it came back. Um, this bad guy organization with this red hand, which is Manos the Hands of Fate, not really, but kind of. They want to somehow make it like it was before the blip somehow. Well, they couldn't do that without an Infinity Gauntlet and being demigods, which they're not. So their actions are kind of silly. They're sort of a redheaded, sort of a girl leader lady person who is befreckled, who looks a little bit like somebody in the church, but who isn't freckled. but yeah, and sort of that same sort of look on her face, sort of puzzled look, like thinking things out, but I'm puzzled kind of look. Um, so yeah, there's that. There's the there's a lot of whispering, a lot of soft talking. This if this was two parts of a movie, a Marvel movie, it would have been parts of it would have been intensely boring. It would not have made a good movie. Um, yeah, you kind of have to have enunciation in your acting. I don't know why they're trying for this in this case. Trying to make it like a procedural cop drama. They even have a scene in which the police almost arrest the Falcon guy until they realize who he is. At one point, they do go on a battle with the super soldiers when the lady shows up. Turns out the other Captain America guy sort of have powers, but they didn't really explain it. He turns out to be kind of similar to U.S. Agent. I think it's what he's supposed to be. U.S. Agent who was sort of a knockoff of him, Liefeld era character, maybe earlier than Liefeld actually. But there was a Liefeld type. There's a American Man or whatever it is, and they're kind of implying that one too. So they got sort of combined U.S. Agent and American Man, and which were knockoffs of him. They tried to reinvent Captain America a couple times in the comics. So this is the arrogant one. But it was trying to be nice, but then he's arrogant. Of course he is. There's a. He's probably not actually evil. He's probably just like arrogant, which is not like Captain America. Doesn't really work. That's the whole point. Then he's someone else. Um, um, he tells him off at the end. Yeah. Just get out of my way or something. Yeah, it's like yeah, they're what they're doing. There was a yeah. It seems that they're kind of missing the mark with some of the acting too. Even in the scene where they try to set up the counseling scene where the counselor lady, and the other two, and they pretend like they're staring into each other's souls and whatever that is. And they've been to many counselors and they've never encountered the staring. Wait a minute. No, I have encountered staring at your soul. That's something from the 80s. That is something. Yes, I have encountered that. It never works. It just makes you uncomfortable. Yes, I have encountered. I was going to say I didn't, but then I recalled. No. There was a counselor that did that. Did not work. Just made him creepy. In junior high, there was a guy. He'd stare at you to try to get you to like, yeah. Ew. His last name was Bennett, but no relation to Harv Bennett, I don't think. Um, yeah, yeah. So, anyway. And in the yearbook, he was called The Stare. Remember that was written in the yearbook. The Stare. So it never worked. He didn't know how to do it right. But he could do that Terminator look. He could do that blank sort of stare look. But yeah, so yeah, they do the couples thing as kind of a joke. Isn't it funny? These two superhero guys are like a couple, but it doesn't work because they clearly aren't. They're back and forth. They go to visit Bucky's friend and a friend of me from Korea, I guess. I guess Bucky's like immortal or something for something to do with the comics too. And they meet him, and he's another super agent thing. He kicks it out. That's when the cop thing happens. That's when the cop thing happens, and that leads him to the counselor. Okay. Yeah. And then there's a couple's counseling, and I don't know if the guy called the cops on them or not. Probably. But he was another black dude. There was, yeah. The Falcon. Why doesn't the Falcon have an ID on it? Strange. Anyway, so... Yeah. Clearly they were trying to do something about, like, yeah, police and cops and black people. They were trying to do that, but it didn't work. So, also the couples counseling joke doesn't work because they're clearly not, and they clearly have no chemistry. So far it's kind of like if it was like basically the Hulk and Thor, they clearly had chemistry, more so than the Hulk and Black Widow. The Thor, that's why it didn't make sense. The Hulk and Black Widow didn't have any chemistry. They forced it in that movie, the Joss Whedon movie, the Age of Ultron. But it's like, no, they don't really have. No, they don't. But in this one, it's like, yeah, they don't have any chemistry here either because they're clearly like so angsty and dark and brooding about everything that it's like a 90s sitcom like version of, yeah. So far, the first 2 episodes are really shaky. It's really work. Yeah, so, yeah, special effects are fine. TV show, as usual, kind of thing. Overhead shots are fine. Oh yeah, and there's a gripe from episode 1 and 2. Extreme close-ups, where they're like this. Okay, extreme close-up. Extreme close-up. It looks terrible. Don't do that. This does not look good. Don't do that. And don't do it from the side like this. Extreme close-up. Well, what are you guys like? If you're Marvel, you're not the Cloverfield guy. You're not J.J. Abrams. Only J.J. Abrams can do the extreme close-up. But even when he does it, like, I'm Captain Kirk, he's kind of framed, centered a little bit. Kind of off to the side, tilted. But he's centered. It's not just, I'm in extreme close-up. Doesn't work. Don't do that. Don't do that in your Marvel movie. Center the frame with the guy's face. Extreme close-up's fine. This is not fine. This is not. Just so you know, in film school, don't do that. Nobody wants to see up the guy's nose. Nobody wants to see that. Psst. And if that was a 70 millimeter, be like, don't do that. So don't do that. Also, these overhead shots of the models, don't do that. This doesn't look right. You don't need to do that. Yeah, the counselor lady being a total bitch is kind of like why is she so annoying? Why is she Dr. McCoy, basically? I mean, when McCoy did it, he had charm when he did it. When McCoy was a curmudgeonly doctor, even when he was like 40, and he had charm when he did it. He would come in and he'd be abrasive, but he'd be ultimately like with a wink and a nod kind of thing. He'd be like, "I'm the country doctor. I'm grizzly, but normally Spock. I actually like people. I just pretend like I don't." That lady doctor in this movie show clearly does not like anybody. She's being a terrible counselor. I've encountered counselors like that before. They're just never good. Usually they're male counselors. Is she actually secretly a man? That would be interesting. Because the stare dude, he was a man. Anyway, so yes, so that was Winter Soldier episode 2, and except for it being, so far very very shaky. The visuals and stuff have kind of the same issue with the first couple of the WandaVision story as well. I didn't mind it being that aspect ratio and all that. It was fine. I didn't mind but the setting was a little off because of the off-putting, and they explain it later, and I didn't mind that. But it's like if you have to explain everything that's going on, there's something wrong with the narrative and the story. If you're writing a story, if you have to say, okay, this last scene that just happened, we're going to sit here for a minute and a half and explain, yeah, we probably shouldn't have gone in there and done that thing because it was over there and we were spies or whatever. It's like, if you have to explain it to the audience, you didn't film it right. It's got to be somebody famous that's filming this. It's got to be somebody, but yeah, it's just, I don't know what's going on. The second one was filmed a little better, less close-ups. But the first one was very rocky. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so yeah.